welcome to Business Speciàl, the podcast where Belgium tech meets Belgium fries. I'm Sebastian, your host. We're here to talk with startup founders about their early days, how they turned ideas into products, and tackled the challenges of building and selling their first version of their app, the MVP, the minimum viable product. And because my best ideas come while waiting in a frituur, we'll be doing this over fries and a favorite snack. Today we're at the Bootstrapped in Ghent and we're about to dive into some golden fries and golden ideas. Today's guest is Marie Martens, one of the founders of Tally. They describe themselves as the simplest way to create forms, but we'll dive deeper into that later on. Marie, my first question for you today is if you had to explain the concept of a frituur to somebody that doesn't know it, how would you do that?
Good question. I've done that just recently, not that long ago. I would say, it's Belgian tradition. It's greasy food. Everything in the counter kind of could come from an animal. You're not sure which one. But you always need to have fries with mayo. That's the base order for me. And then you just add whatever on top.
All right.
So I guess that's how I would describe.
And that's also your order that you did now?
I took a simple one. Yeah.
The classic.
Yes, small one with mayo. Usually I do add stoofvlees sauce on top. I'm not sure how to translate stoofvlees sauce. It's like brown stew sauce or something. Yeah. And a viandel, because that's like the crispy version of a frikandel, which is also not translatable. But I guess people will know what we mean.
Yeah, for sure. The Belgians, the Belgians will know it. All right. Do you have like a go-to frituur? Like you always go to, you stick to the same one?
Yeah. I should probably not mention the name, but because that's not nice for the frituur where we are now.
You can do it. It's okay.
Yeah, we have our fixed fritkot as everyone in Belgium does. It's Frituur Botermarkt in Ghent. They're really popular. And they're, one street from where we live in Ledenberg. So that's also convenient.
Also important that it's not too far away, because otherwise fries might get cold.
Indeed. And if you want fries, it needs to go fast, right?
That's true. All right. Well, thank you for being here today.
Of course.
So like I said, when I'm waiting in line at the frituur, I often have time to think, and then my best ideas come. So that's the reason why we're doing it here right now. And with that in mind, we want to talk about the idea that you had together with your co-founders or your founders at Tally. So we're just going to start at the beginning. Can you simply explain what is Tally and where did it start? Take us back to the beginning of Tally.
Yeah. Good question. We need to go back a couple of years. Maybe to start, what is Tally? Tally is a form builder tool. So we basically make it really easy to build online forms and surveys in minutes. But also, sync your data to any other tool that you might use, CRM, email tool, and so on. It's a no-code tool, so you don't really need engineering skills to be able to build it and also make automated workflows with the data that you collect. The idea, I think we kind of need to go back to, I think it's 2016 or 2017. That's like the first time when me and Filip, so Filip is my partner in life, but also the technical co-founder, when we decided to build something ourselves. So I have a background in B2B marketing. I've always been an employee at several companies in Belgium. Filip is a full stack engineer, but he worked at several startups. He also had some successful and less successful startups before. And we were traveling, we were going to Mexico actually, and there we kind of had this idea of we want to become digital nomads, we want to travel the world, surf in the morning and code in the afternoon type of thing. So that was the dream. And we came up with this startup idea, and it was something completely different than Tally. It was called Hotspot. Hotspot is a marketplace that connects travel influencers with small hotel owners. So basically we help the hotel owners to promote their property by working with influencers, and we help the influencers get collaborations with hotels. So that was the idea behind it. We kind of, in the true spirit of moving fast and building an MVP, when we came back from the trip, we decided to, well, not actually build it. We actually made a Google form. And that's the first time we started talking about forms, because we wanted to have or find 100 hotels that would be interested in the idea. And then we would build like an MVP, really simple version, and just see how it goes. This was a side project, something we would do in the evenings next to our normal jobs. We did that. We found the 100 hotels. We made a Google form. We didn't really love Google Forms, but it needed to be free, needed to go fast. So, it did the job. And then a few months later, Filip actually sold his company. It was called Delta, crypto portfolio tracker application, also based in Ghent. And then he decided to leave the company. So he had, some time. And if you have, an entrepreneurial full stack engineer at home, you can do a lot. So he decided to build like a very basic version of this marketplace, where basically hotels could just list their property, influencer could make a profile, and they could just match based on some basic criteria. Started doing that, got like our first customers. So we thought like, okay, maybe there's something here. And then in January 2020, I decided to quit my job. I was a marketing manager at the time at In The Pocket. We were going to travel the world, try to build out
January
Hotspot.
2020. Yes, okay.
So long story short, it was the worst time in history to build or to launch something in travel tech. We took a plane actually to Bangkok because that was our first stop. And then we were going to our end destination, which was Bali, of course, where all the digital nomads used to go. We didn't make it. We had to fly back after 1 week because of COVID, and went into lockdown basically for the next year. So obviously our customers were all closing because the hotels were the ones that paid for the marketplace. So the business basically died just in 2 months, and we thought like, how long can this thing take? We'll just build, we'll prepare behind the scenes, and then probably by summer we're ready to launch again. Now we know that didn't happen. And we gave ourselves 1 year to try out the whole startup journey. And so by summer, we were still in lockdown. So we decided to start something completely different. And on Fridays, we would have brainstorms about, any type of idea, like, what are we going to build? And then we also decided that the whole influencer travel space was actually something that we don't have that much experience in. We're not in the target audience. It was also pretty sales heavy. So we kind of felt like maybe this doesn't come super natural to us as well. And then the productivity space in general was probably, a space where we're also more interested in. We also use these tools ourselves. We had used a lot of form builders before. We also started using Notion. And we just loved we said we were running our company in it, but there was no company. It was just the two of us. But we loved just making docs and organizing stuff in there. And then we thought, wow, what if we can do the same like what Notion did to note-taking? Like they kind of managed to make it fun. And it kind of also started from a very boring idea. What if we can do the same with forms? And obviously forms is, it's a form builder, super competitive space. But we thought, if we can just claim a very small part of this super large market, then we would already be super successful because we're a small bootstrapped team. And that's kind of how the idea of Tally was born. So we thought, what if we can make forms fun in some way? Because most of the form builders were pretty expensive. You would collect 10 responses, you have this volume-based pricing, then you need to pay. And we just thought that was a shitty experience, so we didn't want to have that. And then you have Google Forms, and I mentioned it before. It's powerful, it's free, but we didn't like the design of that, so we thought there is maybe a place for something else.
It's the same with Microsoft Forms as well.
Yes.
If you're in that Microsoft suite with your company, you have to use it, and it's powerful, but it doesn't look nice. But I wonder, like, did you have a lot of confidence starting a form building company, because there's like so much out there, and you had like Typeform who kind of did the same so many years ago. Where did you find that confidence, or it was just like
confidence? I'm not sure if we were super confident, like we didn't know, right? Or like, we're gonna try this and we'll see. We did have this kind of gut feeling of there is some place for more niche tools like this, and there is definitely an audience that appreciates, well, first of all, our free plan. I can explain a bit more about that later on, but also a really heavy focus on the user experience and just the result of having a beautifully designed form. So we felt like, okay, if we have this problem, there might be more people that have the problem. I guess that kind of gave us enough confidence to just start building it. We've also been talking to people, from the start. So since we just had the idea and then made like I call it the MVP of the MVP, which was just like the interface. Like you could create a form, but you couldn't even publish it. You could not log in or anything like we shared it from that stage. So really early on. And the feedback was always really positive. So I guess that kind of gave us the confidence to take that direction.
All right. So you really started a lot of validation and user research from the beginning. Yeah. And
while building it, basically.
Yeah. And it was just you shared it with friends, family, colleagues, or...
Yeah. We started with friends, family, colleagues. I still have the Google Sheet, actually. It was like one tab was like family, and then it went to friends, and then it went to friends in like relevant jobs, like friends that work in tech. Yeah. Because other friends were like, we also noticed from the beginning, there's Google Form users, and we kind of call them the mouse people. And then we have, the more technical audience and people who just use their keyboards, right, to build and use shortcuts. So I would be the mouse person in the team. And we noticed from very early on that it is kind of hard to serve both of them in the same product, and that kind of always has been the goal. Like, we want to keep it super flexible, super simple. You kind of start from a blank page and you just start typing, but that's not that fun for everyone. Like, some people just want to drag and drop and want a super clear different interface. So that's something we've been working a lot on throughout the years. But from the start, just asking friends and family, asking colleagues. And then once we had a bit of a more mature MVP, started doing cold outreach, actually. Mainly on Product Hunt, because we felt like, we would find people that could be interested in this type of product. Founders, people that work in product teams at startups, and marketeers as well. So we would just go on Product Hunt and we would see who has launched like a no-code tool or a form builder or anything like that, and who has upvoted those. And then I would just make lists of those people, go find their contact details, and send them a DM or an email or whatever I could find.
To test out Tally, or to share
just to ask, like, hey, we're building this. We think, we'd love your feedback. Would you mind playing around with it? So you could not pay. You could probably not even leave your email or anything like that, but just like to ask feedback. Yeah. And we did that for, I think, 6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So we talked to thousands of people. And that's where we found, like, I would say the first type of validation, the first users that were super excited. They would all join a Slack group that we made, and then we could just literally build something, share it with them on Slack, get immediate feedback. And so, those people are still in the Slack channel today. So that's like the early signs of our community. Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was just you and Filip.
Yeah.
You were already working on it full time, or still doing it on the side, or?
Yeah, it was full time because we kind of quit our jobs and made the jump for Hotspot. So
right. Yeah.
So we were full time.
Still within that first year of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that all happened in that, like, from summer 2020 to December, basically. And then early 2021, we decided that the product was, mature enough. It was still very basic, but we had like all the basic features of the form builder that our competitors have. Like you could collect an email, name, stuff like that. Like a simple, no, we didn't even have a drop down, but like everything we thought like a basic form would need. And then we decided to launch it on Product Hunt.
Okay.
And then, we kind of went into a new stage of growth and,
Cool. And so in the beginning it was you and Filip.
Yeah.
How did you build that MVP? He was doing everything from engineering and design. You were helping with the validation and the go-to-market then, or?
Yeah. So he would design and build the entire product. He would also just look at other products, that we've been following. Notion obviously has been a really big inspiration, but also tools like Recent or Campsite, anything like that, Linear. And he just, I would also help. I don't really have a background in product, but I would like take screenshots of how other people would do it and just like give feedback, like, test it, basically, do like some QA. And he built it all himself for the first 2 years, actually.
Okay. Yeah. And did you have like any outside help? Did you work with freelancers or agencies in the beginning?
Not in the beginning. I think only by the end of year 2, we kind of, the product started growing really fast. And because we made a large part free, so it's a freemium model, but you can basically do anything, customize your form, create it, publish it. You can do all of that for free.
Yeah.
So we had a really like a growing user base, but you also have to offer support to those people. And so the product kind of outgrew ourselves as founders, and we couldn't handle it anymore with just 2 people. We were just doing support, maintenance. We had abusers also, that found us. And so then we started to grow the team, and then we hired our first 2 freelance engineers, remote. From Egypt, actually. And that was like the first test of, growing the team. It didn't work out great. We found it really difficult to build a remote team, we had communication issues. Didn't really have a team vibe that we kind of, in the end, realized that we kind of wanted to have. The people were also not senior enough, so we kind of really looked for people that could just jump in and get started, and we just didn't have the time to. Well, we could onboard them, but that was kind of it. So that lasted for like half a year, and then it went back to just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
And then actually only this year, last year, we decided to build a team here in Belgium, in Ghent. We moved to the Winter Circus, which was our first office, since we launched it. So after 4 years, we had our first office. And that also made it a bit easier to build a team here. Work together, we're really enjoying just being in the office together. So we kind of switched completely from digital nomad dream to just going to the office every day. Yeah.
And how big is the team now? Or
so now we have 4 core members. So it's me and Filip, and then Wouter, who is full stack engineer, and Frederik, who handles customer support. We have a 5th person, Niels, joining in a week. It's another full stack engineer.
Okay.
And then we have freelancers that help us out, more in a fractional way, I would say. 2 more people for support, based in the States, just to cover the different time zone. Yeah. And then a content marketeer based in the UK that helps us out like 1 day a week, I would say. So it's a core team of 4 full-time people, and we, hire freelancers where needed. Yeah.
I find it really interesting. You start out together with your partner with the whole digital nomads idea, and then you end up with Tally. How did the transition go from probably working at home a long time, the two of you can probably share everything with each other, and then you go to an office, you have colleagues, you have employees. How did that go?
It was hard and really good for us at the same time. I think working from home, especially with your partner in the same room during COVID to start with, really kind of, we were in our own bubble, and that was not great. Actually, there's zero work-life balance. We both burned out after, I think, two years. So it was just too much of the same, no change of environment. So the office really helped for us to have more structure, to try to leave work at home a bit more. I mean, it's still not really the case, but it helps just to go to the office, come home, close the laptop for a bit. So that has helped us also just to professionalize the way we work. You need to communicate with the team, not just talk to each other at home. And you need to document some processes. So I think it slowed us down for a bit, but it is better, and it was also just necessary to be able to scale the product and the company. Yeah.
All right, nice. So you fully bootstrapped
yes.
the whole journey. I also follow you on LinkedIn, and I think last week you said we passed 500K of users or something like that. How did you reach that amount of people? You started with Product Hunt, you told me. Of course, the whole world is your market because you're a form builder, but what were the other things you did to get that first critical mass and also to convert them to paying customers?
Yeah. I think the two things that differentiate Tally in the super crowded market is our pricing. So we decided to offer unlimited forms and submissions for free, which is something that at the time no one was really doing. So that was kind of unique. One of the bigger competitors was Typeform, and they had just raised their price. They're moving up market. So that was a great thing for us because we really target, startups, SMBs. And the second thing is just the simplicity of the form building experience and the design of the forms, where we really heavily focus on. So those were the two aspects why people chose for us. Mm-hmm. The first users we just found through, it was cold outreach. We've been building in public as well from the start. So basically sharing everything, revenue, any milestone, everything that goes wrong as well. So we kind of started building, I would say, a personal audience, mostly on Twitter and LinkedIn. So that helped. And then we did a lot of, I would say, social listening, where we would just find any online conversation about forms or no-code tools. And if anyone was like, oh, I'm looking for a Typeform alternative, or I'm looking for a form builder that can do XYZ, then I would just answer. So I would be doing that. We're still doing that.
Okay.
So that got us to the first 1,000 users, free users. You couldn't pay for the product yet in the beginning. Then we launched on Product Hunt, and that kind of doubled our user base in one day. And it kind of kicked in our organic growth flywheel, so to speak. So basically, you create forms to share them with other people. So we have kind of the viral aspect built in. And if you use Tally for free, your forms have a Made with Tally badge. Yeah. And the people that submit your form see our branding. And so that's our biggest acquisition channel. Okay. And once we had enough people doing that, the product started selling itself. So it's really been organic growth. Up until now, actually, we just started with some paid experiments. So we got to the 500,000 users in an organic way. Of course, also by investing a lot in customer support, in the community, in making sure that a lot of people share the product, and that we keep our users happy and they become our biggest ambassadors. So that's what we really focused on, and that's how we got to this point.
Okay, nice. So providing a good product, good customer support.
Yeah, that was really really essential to just, and I guess also, having the free version and making sure that someone can get a lot of value out of it really fast, and that the end result is also shareable, right? Like there is a big market for people just sharing, what they've built, but also what they've built with no-code tools. So we're often part of a very complex automation flow where people use Make or Zapier, and then you have Tally, and then you have like 10 other tools that are involved. And really like making sure that we were represented there, that helped us a lot. There's a big no-code community in France. It's not that big in Belgium yet. Okay. And they picked up Tally pretty early on. So we have, besides the States, actually, our second market is France.
Okay.
Because, no-code space is quite big there. A lot of agencies that also, they don't offer engineers, but literally work with no-code tools to build products and MVPs. So I guess, with COVID as well, we could really kind of ride that wave of really rise of no-code tools, and it helps people save money. Yeah. Engineers can be expensive, and automate things in just a few clicks. That helped us.
So there's also like a right timing of no-code, low-code tools coming up, and then you could ride that wave as well.
Indeed, yeah, because we didn't start off as like, we're going to build a no-code tool. We didn't even really, we've heard of the term, but it's also a bit of a marketing term, of course. So we kind of only got introduced to these communities after, I would say, 6 months or something. And then realize the power of it and the power of connecting Tally with other tools and having integrations and having partnerships with them also to find new users for us.
Okay. Yeah. We actually also had at one point a client who came to us and they had a running business and they used Tally to do the whole onboarding process. Wow. Up until the point that they felt like, okay, we need something custom. Yeah. And then they hired us to build something for them. But it was amazing to see how far they got their business.
Indeed.
With something like Tally. So,
and that's a great example. Like you can just get started in a few clicks. And I think that's a powerful thing. Like even if you want to start a business, but you don't have a technical co-founder and it needs to be cheap and fast, like you can do so many things with a Tally, with Framer, Webflow, any type of website builder, combined with forms gets you pretty far. You have Airtable for databases, Notion, and so on. So we do see pretty complicated, like mini products being built with it. And often, it gets you to point one, and then you need, customization. But it's still, it can bring you pretty far.
And what's like the longer term vision for Tally? Do you want to go to maybe more than only a form builder? Like, hey, we can be an MVP, no-code tool, or you want to stick to forms and that's it?
We made the decision to, so you see most tools going more broad, building suites, adding the CRM, adding all different types of tools around it. We decided to do the opposite. So we really want to just keep it super simple, try to stay the simplest way to create forms. So not have like the Swiss Army knife with tons of features, but build, focus on doing one thing really well. And that's offering the best form building experience. Okay. And that's what we will try to do.
I think that's a good thing to follow up, because like Notion, for example, I think they also introduced forms. They're going super broad. They have calendars now and
it makes sense, right? For a company like them. I think because we are bootstrapped as well, not VC funded, we kind of can make decisions that, it might not be financially the best decision to do, but we just, we love keeping that focus and building just one product that does this job really well in a simple way, but is still powerful as well. And if you see our feature requests and our roadmap, we can do this for 10 more years. It's really a rabbit hole building forms. We're happy with that decision.
Okay, cool. I maybe want to dive a bit deeper in the whole bootstrapping part.
Yeah.
The whole funding part is also often interesting for a lot of people. So you started to bootstrap. Was it a choice you wanted to make, or was it like we want to go for funding at one point, and then also you're earning money now, you can pay yourself and everyone? How did you get to that path?
We there were a couple of aspects. So because I have a marketing background and Filip is the engineer, we kind of felt like, okay, we have like compatible skills, at least to go from 0 to 1 and try something. We felt pretty strongly about being independent and bootstrapping. I think also the phases in our life, like we had 2 young kids since we launched Tally, and we didn't really want to have external pressure of investors or a board, so that played a big part. Obviously, you need to pay the bills as well, and I think the first year or 2 years we didn't pay ourselves any salary. I mean, there was also no money in the beginning to do that. So because Filip had sold his previous business, we had a bit of runway, and we knew like, okay, we can survive for a year. So we had that. I had worked for 10 years, so I just had saved a bit of money, not too much, but like enough to make the jump. I think that's important because there's a lot of really young entrepreneurs or students that want to do the same. But you do need to realize that, all our savings went into this, and just not in the product, but just into paying the rent for our apartment and paying the bills. So you do need a bit of cash if you wanna do it. I think it also kind of helped us to make certain product decisions, because at one point we started introducing more paying features, and you also kind of want to start making some money, but our strength was our free tier, so we really needed to stick to our plan and keep making it free, even though you put your heart and soul and a lot of hours in it, and sometimes you get negative feedback, but we're still offered everything for free. And I think if we wouldn't have some money on the bank, we probably would have made different decisions earlier on. But like the first year, we just wanted to have as many people come in, try it out, and keep it free and grow, and then monetize after. So that's what we did, and it worked out pretty well for us. But of course, we needed to have the savings to bridge that first year. Okay. And then I think still the biggest milestone for me personally was, I think it was after 1.5 years, we started, 2 years probably, we would earn enough or we would earn more than we would do as freelancers combined. And that was always like this goal, like imagine we can build this product and we're not selling our time, but we're selling a SaaS. And we can, if we would be able to make more than just selling ourselves or our time. And then that was the biggest milestone, because then like the sky was the limit, obviously, and now we reached a different scale. But I think that was a really, powerful moment for us. And then, obviously the product is bigger now. We could finally have salaries, so that was fun. And see some money coming in instead of going out. Yeah.
If you would have to start something new tomorrow, would you go again with the bootstrap route, or would you do it again?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think so. I am curious for the whole fundraising investor route. Maybe it's because we moved to the winter circus. It's the default. It's like the default playbook of every startup, right? You raise and then you start. If we don't have to, I would not. But it does give you more resources from the start. I think for us it was a good thing that we didn't have those funds, because we just didn't know what to do with it in the beginning. Like we were not able to build or manage a team. We didn't really know how to spend it marketing wise. Like we learned a lot by bootstrapping it. And we kind of saved a lot as well. So now we can kind of fund our own growth. And that's, I think that's a good position to be in. Yeah.
So you're kind of a different startup within Winter Circus, where you have all these funded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think at one point you want to go that route, or?
I mean, I never say never. I don't think with Tally, but there's always, I think we will always have like this bug or this drive to start something new. Like sometimes I'm like, it would be cool to, start from scratch again. So maybe one day, but I don't know. We're so deep into what we're doing now. So I don't want to say definite no, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We'll need to have another conversation in a few years.
If you have something else that you started.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Maybe I want to talk a bit more about how I like to call it after the MVP phase. So you had your first version, you build it. Pure product-wise, did you keep on building on the same code base, or was there at one point like we're going to have to rewrite it to make it more scalable, because building a form builder for 1,000 people might be different than for 500,000 or a million people?
No, so Filip built on the same code base. We did get to some limits, I would say, especially once we would hit a larger scale. Like we offer features like custom domains. You can host your form in your own domain. But that then kind of started going down all the time, and we needed to fix. So I'm not the technical founder. I don't know the details. But definitely I think in year 3, we're hitting a lot of limits. Like we noticed like, okay, we need, especially infrastructure hosting, we need to like not rewrite, but probably rethink these things. And I think only now we are like, because there's more engineers looking at, what can be improved. But like really rewriting it, I don't think that's like something in our DNA. We just like ship fast and go, and then break a lot of things as well, and then see how we can fix them afterwards. But definitely we had to, I wouldn't say professionalize, but make the infrastructure more scalable. Because we had, we have so many people using the platform, and that became just difficult to manage by one person. So I think, I would need to ask Filip for more details about that. But we definitely bumped into some issues just because the product became, and the user base became so big. And, that scale wasn't built in, from the start, because you have no idea where you will get. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. You start with the first version, see where it gets, because sometimes you also see startups making mistakes where they set up this huge infrastructure from the beginning because they're preparing themselves for hundreds of thousands of users, and they never reach that. Of course, with something like Tally, that's the goal you want to have eventually. Yeah,
but we always, like, still until today, we just try to ship something new as fast as possible and then improve it afterwards. So like the goal is, okay, this week we'll work on more customization options. Like it needs to be in the hand of the users within 3 days. And then, we'll see what the feedback is. There's always a lot of feedback, and then we'll improve. We kind of lost that mindset, I think, in year 3 or something, just because it became really difficult to have that speed. But now there's a team again. There's processes in place, so now we can do that. But in the beginning, it was just it's the cliche of doing a lot of things that don't scale, and just finding out what works and repeat them over and over again. And then scaling, is for later.
Okay. And now you are.
And now
scaling.
we are, yes.
All right, cool. We're already nearing the end of the conversation. Time flies. And then maybe you can eat some of your cold fries.
They're getting cold.
I, by the way, went for the kabeljauw stick, the cod stick, which is surprisingly
looks
good.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of fishy things at the frituur, but it is definitely
one does the job.
It's definitely something I could recommend. Maybe kind of a cliche question, but what are some of the mistakes or biggest mistakes you made that you can tell yourself, if you can talk with your past self, don't do that? Any lessons learned there?
I think for us it was mostly hiring, like because we're bootstrapped, we were very careful with the money we were making, and then we waited really long to grow the team, and we waited a bit too long, so we got stuck in like the day-to-day of just maintaining Tally and keeping it alive. And I think if we would have invested more in people earlier on, that would have probably helped us to scale a bit more fluently, because, you know, lots of stuff obviously went wrong as well. So I think for us, like, just taking a bit more risks probably, and just hiring people earlier. I mean, the moment that you have the budget to do so, I think I would change that. I would also ask for more advice. Like, we were really like doing a lot of stuff on our own and never really reaching out. You know, we didn't have investors and didn't really have the network. We're just following a lot of people online and reading what they do, like indie hackers and founders on Twitter, you know, and we're really deep in that space, but we're never really having those conversations with people that are like, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 steps ahead. And I think those are the most valuable. And that's something we especially I kind of learned as we grew is just to reach out to people. You know, do you want to have a chat? I just have a few questions. How do you approach this or this? And people are, you know, surprisingly always pretty open to help you. So like, not just doing everything on our own, but being a bit more open to that. And probably having an office a bit sooner and not working from home all the time. That's probably also a decision that I would change. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, that's some very good advice. Thanks. We have one final question, and it's a bit related to something we also like to do at Panda Panda. We like to do things a bit differently. That's why we're shooting this podcast or recording this podcast in a frituur. We call it being beastly in a positive way. What was one of your beastly moments where you did something different with Tally that made it change, or that was like some kind of success? It can be in any aspect of the business.
Yeah, I think we probably briefly touched it before, but for us to make the decision to like basically give away the product for free, which kind of went against all the startup advice that you can find, you know, online or in real life. That really, I still really believe that that's, you know, one of our secret ingredients. And after 2 years, we kind of pinpointed like the 3 things that really make us really, you know, grow. And Tally being free is one of them. Tally being very simple. And then Tally being us, as in we're bootstrapped, we build in public, we share everything. Like those 3 things, you know, are our success ingredients, I would say. And I think realizing that was pretty, like it sounds simple now, but like the moment we kind of really put that on paper and it kind of became our framework to make decisions moving forward, that was a big one. And I think the second one was in 2023, we won like a Golden Kitty, like Product Hunt award.
Right, okay.
As the best bootstrapped startup worldwide. But for us, that was, you know, huge, because I remember like the newsletter coming in and it's just us 2, you know, in the home office. And then you had all the winners and there were different categories. And so Notion AI was the first one. Then I think there was like GPT-4. And then you had Blue Sky in the social category, and then you had Tally in the bootstrap category, and that would like, made us quiet for a while. Like, wow, we're just 2 people, you know, running this, and we're being mentioned, you know, in the same newsletter like these companies. So I think that's a moment where I realized, like, okay, it's super important for us to stay true to ourselves and our story and our strategy. And maybe be a bit stubborn as well in that way. And just stick to what works.
Wow, nice. Yeah. And did you also see like an increase in users after that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it did give us a lot of publicity, a lot of requests for interviews, but also more users signing up. It definitely helped us. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Really, really nice to see and inspiring how you and Filip started this company and then how it's going. And looking forward to what's coming up in the future. And maybe in the future we'll have a talk in another frituur.
Yes.
Maybe another startup we'll see how it goes.
I would love that. Thanks a lot for inviting me and sharing our story.
Yes, thank you very much.
And for the fries.
Of course, you're welcome. So that's it for today for Business Speciàl. Big thanks to Marie Martens from Telly for joining us and sharing the story. A shout out to the Fritschap and Sam for hosting us and serving up these delicious fries and kabeljauw stick. And big thanks to Vince, our producer, for making everything work on the technical side. We'll see you next time.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Business Speciàl.